Hi, everybody. This is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. And in this video, we're going to be finding out about a wallet which allows you to own your keys. Therefore, it's your crypto, no compromising your safety there. Plus, in a second video, we're going to be talking about how this wallet is working with a particular privacy-focused cryptocurrency. So watch out for that one as well.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Tokenmetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Doing well, Crypto Rich. Thanks a lot for having me. It's been a while, as we had mentioned, kind of like right before the show, kind of like bear market after bear market. Maybe we'll do this as well one time during a bull run. But overall, markets are a little bit up today. I'm not sure when this video will air. So it gives people a little bit of positive vibes, but I'm excited to share what we've been up to and what we're doing. Lots changed since we last talked. So thanks for having me.
Well, I should find out because you are the founder or the CEO or the co-founder of edge.app. And I'll come to you in a second for a bit more. But I just want to say to people, please do subscribe, follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel, and also follow me on Odyssey, bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey. And this video will go out on YouTube because it isn't that controversial. But there is a lot of stuff on my Odyssey channel that YouTube doesn't like, and I invite you to go and check that out. Okay, so Paul, you are the co-founder of edge.app. This is a mobile phone-based software wallet. Is that right? Mobile wallet.
Yeah, it's a self-custody app. It is mobile only right now, although we do have plans for a desktop version. I refrain generally, while our Twitter handle is Edge Wallet, because that happened to be available, I refrain from using that term because it doesn't really tell you what the app can do. There's many different wallets in the world, and some focus on, one aspect of functionality, others focus on others. Ours focuses very heavily on exchange functionality and DeFi financial services, less about like spending the way you think of a physical wallet. But yes, Edge app is a self-custody app, buy, sell, trade. Soon you're going to be able to actually even borrow through DeFi protocols. So you can go into and out of fiat. And right now you can start earning yield. Our goal is to replace all of the CeFi equivalents. So those companies that last year kind of imploded and took a lot of people's money, we want to replace those products completely while still providing the same user experience that you'd get with CeFi, but in a full self-custody solution. So that's where we are. Definitely, give it a try.
That's interesting because I would have thought, and forgive me, I think your app has developed quite a bit in the last 4 years, right? Because I remember, if I remember correctly, and this is where the forgiveness may be required, that it was pretty much just a self-custody mobile wallet in those days.
So our company actually had two phases, and I think our first phase of the company, it was definitely focused on payments, sending and receiving, merchant adoption, NFC and Bluetooth payments even, had a merchant directory in it. That was when we were Airbits. So this was about up until 2017. Our company was actually founded as far back as 2014, launched our first app at the end of 2014, early 2015, that was Airbits. But in 2017, we had started developing what is now Edge. Launched in 2018, of course, initial launch, we worked over a year, about 5 man years on the effort on creating Edge. So at first, Edge was basically Airbits, but with multiple assets. Right. There wasn't a whole lot of change. It was our MVP. We couldn't get everything in there all at once. And that might have been the first time we chatted, it was in the 2018, 2019 era.
Yeah.
But the full purpose and goal of the app was to really replace a lot of centralized exchanges. That was really the goal of what we were building. And you could really see that today in the rich amount of functionality that Edge has, in that you can go into and out of crypto from fiat. You can go between different cryptocurrencies. You can right now even earn yield. Take your Bitcoin, instead of putting it into BlockFi or Celsius, put it into Edge, which goes into a DeFi protocol. You always hold the keys. You control the funds. There's not even any KYC to earn the yield. You can get anywhere from 5 to 10% on some of the top cryptos without any impermanent loss and those kind of risks. And then soon you're going to see even additional DeFi functionality that you would normally only see in centralized services, such as being able to borrow against your crypto and settle that directly into a bank account. So things like this are what we've really, really focused on since our launch. But you're right, it's definitely changed quite a bit. As you have to in any tech startup, you've got to evolve with the times. And we're now seeing the vision that we had from, now over 4 years ago, what we really wanted to build this app into.
Okay. Well, look, this has got me very, very curious because I'm thinking about, as human beings, what we do is we always compare A to B and then to C or whatever, right? So listening to you, I'm thinking, Exodus is a really great wallet, but it doesn't really do anything special. It does exchanges in the back end and you can do staking, but that's it. But so initially I think, okay, well, Edge is going to be like Exodus is, that sort of functionality, but you're talking about something else, something in addition to that. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't I share my screen?
All right.
You can talk me through. Okay, so this is the Edge website. You can talk me through the applications and stuff. So is there any place you want to take me to?
So one of the newest things, which is available for beta right now, people can sign up for the beta. And as we open up more spots, we can add people to the beta. Is if you look at the top, there's a crypto loans button.
Yep.
And that actually is one of the most innovative and most difficult and ambitious features that we just added to Edge. But once again, it's only in beta and it's utilizing Aave, the DeFi protocol on Ethereum and Polygon. So now you can actually take your Bitcoin, put it into collateral inside of Aave, take out a loan in USD, and settle that into a bank account in one step, in literally one step. If you tried to do this yourself, and we had a lot of people interested in taking out a collateralized loan using Edge and Aave, even people in our company, which is why we built this, because we wanted to solve something for ourselves. And so if you try to do this yourself, it would take about 7 steps and about 4 different products and apps, out in the wild. You would need a fiat off-ramp, you would need a crypto-to-crypto exchange, you would need Aave.com, the website, and then you would need a signing app like a MetaMask or even Edge. Edge can connect to DeFi protocols and sign transactions. But it's a hugely fragmented experience with a lot of steps, with a lot of waiting in between each step. You can't do the process in one sitting. So what we did with Edge is we integrated the whole thing in one. We will automatically take Bitcoin. I'm talking mainnet Bitcoin, not tokenized Bitcoin. Take mainnet Bitcoin and we'll automatically swap it into wrap Bitcoin on Polygon, on the Polygon network, automatically swap it for a little bit of Matic, so that way you could pay for the fees. And Matic is super cheap, so you don't have to pay a whole lot. Automatically then deposit your wrap Bitcoin as collateral, which takes about 2 transactions, one to approve the deposit and another one to actually do the deposit. And then it will take out the loan, and then it will sell it off into a bank account, all in one step, all inside of Edge. So this is the kind of thing that you just do not see in other applications. And I jumped all the way to the end. You asked, walk you through the website. There's many other things I'd love to share that are kind of different and unique about Edge. But this is probably the biggest one that you just do not see in any other apps. And this is a shining example of what we're looking to deliver to the cryptocurrency ecosystem is, once again, self-custody that feels a lot like CeFi, but gives you full control of your funds.
That is quite amazing in one step. Because you and I, we've been in the crypto space for a while, so we've got some ability to negotiate all the different steps. But for somebody, who's new to this, like, what are you talking about? They say to me, what are you talking? I mean, just for them getting into DeFi. And then, this makes it really, really easy. Now that you say this is in beta, and is it only for people who are like using it? You've got to go through a trial, or when will it go live?
We'll go live when we feel very comfortable with it. Let's just say that. And one of our blockers right now is you're based, if I recall correctly, you're over in the UK.
Yeah.
And we don't have a fiat off-ramp provider in the UK that has the necessary tech for us to integrate into this integration. For most people in the world, people will be able to take out the loan and settle it into a stable coin in one step. But they would then have to go and take the stable coin and sell it to the bank account using a fiat off-ramp, sometimes even integrated in Edge, but it wouldn't be one step, it'll be 2. One to take out the loan and then one to sell it. So we're looking for more partners in the fiat off-ramp world that'll be able to sell the stable coin right into a bank account. That way we can do this entire process in one step. And as well, do the reverse process in one step. If you want to pay down the loan, you want to pay down or pay off the loan, you'll be able to take fiat is sitting inside of your bank account, request to pay down the loan, it'll automatically buy the crypto, take the crypto, and then deposit it into Aave and take out your original collateral. So you want to close that loan, it'll take out your Bitcoin as wrapped Bitcoin and then automatically convert it into Bitcoin. Right. So this is the experience that CeFi provides. That's something that we want to provide as well for, once again, DeFi and self-custody. So that is a bit of the blocker. We want to cover more regions of the world. We have support for the banking half of it in the US, although unfortunately we're having to switch providers because, fiat on and off ramps, they're a difficult business to be in, and some go up and some go down and have banking issues and whatnot. So we're having to switch our fiat on and off ramp provider in order to support this feature, but we expect to have it live hopefully this quarter. That's our hope. But once again, we'll launch it in full production when we feel very, very comfortable about it, because it is an incredibly complex feature. So it is definitely one of our more ambitious undertakings.
Okay. Now, we can go back to the website in a moment, but I've got a question to ask you about loans because I don't understand crypto loans. I've never taken one out. I can see the advantage because there's no tax payable, but there's also a risk because the value of the Bitcoin.
There absolutely is.
But let's say, for example, I put in one Bitcoin, $20,000. I then get $20,000 loan, which I can put into my bank account.
You get $20,000 of collateral that backs the loan. You could take out from that $20,000. You could take out $10,000, $5,000, $2,000. Usually 50% is your kind of best safe bet.
Okay, right? So I take out $10,000, and now I have to repay at some point, and there's interest on it, and it said 1.9% APR.
Yeah, it's a rough estimate. It's gone up a little bit to about 2.5%. 2.5. So you're paying about 2.5% is what I'm currently seeing in Aave for Bitcoin to USD based coin loans.
Okay, so then at some point, say after a year, I pay back the $10,000 plus the interest, and then I'd get my whole Bitcoin back.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Now the risk is the value of Bitcoin could go down, and the gain is that the value of Bitcoin could go up.
Absolutely, just like any other risk, and this is just another financial product. It's for people to use that feel comfortable with the risk reward. Because if you need that Bitcoin, say, and I was in a similar situation a while back. I know I needed to be able to pay off some credit card debt, and I could have sold my Bitcoin, or I could have taken out a loan against it. If I sold it, well, I have no more upside, right? But I lock in that price at the current moment, right? Which could be a nice thing. If I take out a loan against it, I have the upside, but I risk effectively selling the coin at a cheaper price. So when people say they got liquidated, right? That's a term that gets used a lot. He goes, "Oh my God, you got margin called or liquidated." That happens when the price of the collateral goes down to where there potentially isn't enough collateral to back the amount you've borrowed. So let's take some numbers as an example. Let's give that exact example again. You have a $20,000 Bitcoin that you put in this collateral, one Bitcoin, and say you borrowed $10,000. Specifically with Aave, it will liquidate you once the value of your loan hits approximately 85% of your collateral. Okay, so 85% of the collateral. So what does that mean? Rough estimates, it's going to be that $10,000 loan. When that collateral hits roughly $11,500, $12,000. So when Bitcoin drops to $12,000, you will be liquidated. So what exactly does it mean to be liquidated? It doesn't mean you lose your Bitcoin, all right? Or you didn't lose the Bitcoin. Some amount of that Bitcoin gets sold off by the protocol in order to bring your collateral, and it's sold off and then pays that down your loan so that your ratio, right, that loan to value ratio gets back to approximately 75%. So it wants to hit 75%, but it'll liquidate you at 85, liquidate enough of that Bitcoin to get you back to 75. Okay, so that's a margin call. That's a liquidation event. Now, granted, that's no worse than if you sold your Bitcoin at a cheaper value at 11,500, right? So here's the risk, right? Bitcoin's $20,000 right now. You either risk that you're going to get some of that Bitcoin sold at 11,500, or it's going to go up and you get all of the reward, all of the gain. That's really the choice you make. Now that's if you took out a loan and took out 50% worth of loans for the collateral, and that's the default in Edge. So we try to take Aave, which gives you a ton of bells and whistles and switches and dials on how you take out the loan, what asset you use, all that. We try to simplify it a lot to what you would see in, once again, like a BlockFi, which is, I have Bitcoin, I want to take out a loan, here's how much I want to take out. Here's the amount of collateral you need. At 50%, relatively safe, but as we know, Bitcoin can drop more than 50%. But in the end, you could borrow against that more, or you could borrow less. Right? You can put in more collateral and borrow a smaller amount. So, for a lot of Bitcoin whales, people don't realize this, but very, very wealthy people, the reason why they pay so little taxes, like how come all these people don't pay a whole lot of taxes, is because of exactly this. They are so wealthy that they have what they can put in as collateral, and they just simply borrow against it. And so long as they take what they have and invest it wisely, their gains on investment far exceed what they need to live.
Yeah.
Right. If you're earning $1 million a year through your investments, and then you collateralize that $1 million or something less, and then from that collateral you only take out $50K, $100K from that collateral, you're just constantly borrowing against all of those investment gains. Now there's of course risk about that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's no tax on the loan, certainly not in the UK.
Once again, I'm not a tax advisor. Every region is a little bit different, right? Yeah. I can't even begin to say how much I don't know about UK tax law, but I know in many jurisdictions, and at least the one that I happen to be in, which is in the US, in California, taking out a loan is not a taxable event.
Yeah,
right.
And then it's useful to put in the warning that people shouldn't take out any more than they can afford to lose anyway, any more than they can afford to pay back, because Bitcoin's far too precious to lose. I could exactly. Somebody come along and say, okay, I got all my Bitcoin, I'm going to put them all in, take out a loan at 50%, invest it in this project, or put it in this DeFi application, which then gets rug pulled.
Right. That can absolutely happen. So I think I don't know what people were using loans like, through BlockFi and Celsius for. I don't have any visibility into that. And even in DeFi protocols, we don't have any visibility on what people are using the money for. And while people can use the money for what you'd call like full degen, all right, which is you borrow against your Bitcoin, you see $20,000 Bitcoin, now you borrow $10,000 against it, and then take that and go buy some, really volatile small cap token, hoping it'll moon. That is highly risky, right? That is risky. But I think one of the things that I'm excited about is to just be able to use your coin in daily life without having to sell it. All right. You're not trying to DJ and it's like, I want to be able to buy goods and services, but I don't want to sell my coin. Yeah. That's one use case that I think is, while there's still more risk than simply selling your coin, right? There's more risk in more of it getting liquidated, because once again, it could go down by half, and you're basically selling your Bitcoin at half its price if it goes down a little bit more than half its price. That risk relative to the potential reward, for some people, they feel like that is an ROI worth having. Much like just owning Bitcoin is a risk, right? Simply owning Bitcoin is a risk in and of itself. This is just another type of kind of financial play. And it's one that a lot of people do want to have because they went to these centralized providers to get it. And now we're trying to deliver that, but full self-custody.
Yep. Okay, we're just on that. Let's talk about the security, because how do I know that it's completely secure? I'm personally rather wary of mobile wallets. I know the safest, most secure wallet of all is a hardware wallet. And, there's many on the market, and there's one that I'm connected to, which is connected to a particular privacy coin as well. And people can go check that out, or watch our second video where we cover that particular privacy coin, which is actually Pirate Chain. Might as well spill the beans where we talk about Pirate Chain in the second video.
Got it.
What makes your wallet so secure?
Got it. So you've definitely followed a lot of the rhetoric and narrative in the cryptocurrency world of the most secure thing you could do is use a hardware wallet. And I'm not going to immediately disagree with that. However, I think the problem with that statement is people have not defined what secure means. Secure against what? All right. When you talk about security isn't a most secure and least secure. It's not 100 to 0. You always have to ask secure against what? What is the attack vector that you're securing yourself against? If you're trying to secure yourself against the attack vector of someone digitally attacking your wealth, then a hardware wallet is definitely a very secure device. Right? Someone digitally going in and try to hack your phone, hack your laptop, and whatnot. It's one of the most secure devices. However, that isn't the way a vast majority of crypto has been stolen, right? Or lost. And that's another thing, is that people don't, when they think of security, are they thinking of an attack from an outside person, or are they thinking of all the reasons why people will lose crypto, right? Because does it matter if someone hacks your phone or if you just simply lose it? At the end of the day, you don't have access to it. Yeah. Right. So you don't care which way it is that you lose it. You just don't want to lose access to your crypto. And fundamentally, far more people have lost access to the crypto by mismanaging the keys themselves than some attacker digitally getting into your computing device and stealing your crypto. And so that's the angle that we take at Edge, is like, hey, what are the real reasons why people are losing their crypto? And let's solve that, as opposed to solving this one very, very specific attack vector that hardware wallets were aimed to solve. All right. So given that, the two biggest reasons people lose crypto, these are the top two, and everything else is long tail. Top two is they leave it on a centralized exchange, and those exchanges either belly up, take their funds, get hacked, you name it. Okay, that's actually the number two reason. The number one reason is they mismanage the keys. They put them somewhere insecure, where someone else sees them, or they lose them.
Yep.
That is the absolute number one reason why people lose crypto. And then number two, centralized exchanges. So we wanted to develop a solution that solves the top two solutions, not a distant third. And the distant third is someone hacked into my computer or my phone and took my crypto. Right? Because we rarely, if ever, hear of that as an actual attack vector. Like even recently, there was a report of a Bitcoin core developer having gotten hacked and losing his crypto. And you probably heard some of this news on Twitter. But in analyzing this, and he did not give a lot of details as to how or why, what was the scenario, but in analyzing the small amount of information that he gave, it seemed he simply had his private keys unencrypted in the cloud, which, if you talk to any security expert, that's one of the biggest no-nos. You just do not do that. Now, I believe the cloud was his friend's ISP, his friend's cloud service, but that's still the cloud. That's not your own personal devices. So until we get further information, we don't know exactly what had happened, but it wasn't as simple as him having his keys on a personal device, maybe encrypted onto that device, where he was then hacked. So once again, we're trying to solve the people screw it up or they leave it on a centralized exchange. So the first thing is, how do we get people to not leave it on a centralized exchange? Well, you have to build a user experience that is familiar to them, that doesn't scare them away from self-custody. And how many people can I count? I can't even count how many people anymore who have not wanted to do self-custody because the process of writing down key management, all of that was too intimidating. They said, I'll just leave it on Coinbase. Yeah. And to this day, I have close friends from college who are now crypto, who I've one specifically, if he listens to this, he'll know who he is, but he's now an investor. He's a VC, and he's invested in crypto companies. He's invested across, non-crypto companies, and he's been very successful. One of his companies is Coinbase. And to him, he's like, oh, no. I tell people, just put it in a custodian, especially Coinbase, one that doesn't rehypothecate and do funny things with the funds. Don't even bother managing your keys. You'll likely lose it. That's the reason why people, I'm like, oh, you just want to cringe, when you hear that.
Well, I just have to come in there. I know what a hassle it is with hardware wallets. With the passphrases and the passwords. I have some Bitcoin in a blockchain.info wallet. This is when I started years ago. And I don't think they've ever been hacked or anything, and it's safe and secure. I can't remember the second password. I can't recognize my clue. I have a clue, and I don't know what the clue means to the password.
Yeah. So it can be tough, and that's, I think, the key piece that we're trying to do is we're trying to make that feel like and be as forgiving as a centralized service, so that people can use self-custody and eliminate that big security risk. Right. So that's step one. That's what Edge is doing. Get people off the centralized services. And while you bring up Exodus, how are they different from Exodus? And we are compared to Exodus a lot. And that's fair. They have some similar functionality. It's a beautiful app. I give them hats off to the team that built Exodus. But what they haven't done is try to solve that piece, like get people off the centralized services.
Yeah.
And to us, in my view, the Exodus is the edges of the world, the Coinomies and whatnot. We are all together competing against the centralized services. And that's our goal, is get people off of those services. So that's number one. Number two, how do we then also prevent people from screwing up, mismanaging their funds? So when you end up having that master private key from your hardware wallet that you have to write down, where do you put it? Right. This is the biggest challenge of the human brain, is you're asking someone to take this 24 words and put it somewhere where they will not forget, because they will need it. Guaranteed, they will very, very likely need those 24 words in the future. So you cannot forget where that is. Yet you cannot let anybody see it. All right, you cannot let anybody see it. Right. And the two do not work well together. Right? If you've heard the term "out of sight, out of mind," that's humanity. And if you take this thing and put it out of sight, you will forget it. And I have lost master private keys from as far back as like 2013, 2014. Bitcoin and early tokens that I got into, I've lost them. How do we fix this in Edge? Well, Edge is not private key based. You never have to see your private keys. Edge actually does create master private keys, 24-word seeds, Ethereum keys and whatnot, but they all get encrypted into a bundle. All right, and encrypted using login credentials that you get to choose and create. And you can write those down. Right? You go in and write down those login credentials as you might. You could put it into a password manager, even when that gets hacked like LastPass, right? And the beauty is that thing you've written down is not your master private key. And it's additionally protected, unlike a master private key. If you write that thing down and someone sees it, your money's gone. You write down your Edge credentials and someone sees it, you're additionally protected with what we call a light version of 2FA. 2FA light, it's called IP validation. No one can log into your account unless they have your device that you've logged into or the IP addresses that you've used over the past couple of months. Right? And that's highly, highly unlikely. And you can enable full two-factor, which means they can't log into your account unless they actually have your device with the 2FA key on it, just like Google Authenticator. We took the Google Authenticator protocol, which is actually not by Google, it's an open protocol, and we married it inside of Edge. And so at the tap of a button, you just tap one button inside of Edge, it's enabled, automatic, just like that. There's no having to copy paste 6-digit codes and scan barcodes and blah, blah, blah. It's literally just enabled. And with full two-factor, now, no one's getting into that account so long as they don't have your device, right? So they will need your device and they will need your credentials, which now becomes the two different factors. So that's the additional level of protection you get when you yourself are not dealing with that private key. So I don't see my private keys. I've never written down my private keys in Edge. That simplicity is what we're trying to give to everyone else. And I think I don't know if you follow or heard of him, but there's a controversial now influencer because he strongly feels the same way. Udi, wartimer, out of Israel, longtime Bitcoiner, and he feels like if a wallet makes you see your private key, they've failed. They've copped out. They've taken the shortcut in key management because that's their job, is to make private key management easier. And by making you write it down, that's not easy, and it's also in many ways insecure. So those are the two main things. That's kind of how we solve that. Then we have a lot of other things underneath the covers that help keep that key secure. We do dynamically tuned password hashing to strengthen and make brute force attacks much, much, much harder. There's a lot of underneath the covers, but at the high level, those are the main things: is define what you're securing against, attack that problem, and don't just fall under what we call the narrative. You know what it's like when everyone just follows the narrative.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh,
and
yes.
I think the crypto world has kind of fallen for exactly that. It's like now they're just following the narrative. Everyone just says, "Oh, get a hardware wallet; it's the most secure."
Right.
If you're really, really good at physical security and will not lose something, then sure, that is not 99% of the population. Not great at physical security. We lose things, we forget where things are, and so in that respect, I think that the narrative is broken.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Now, what happens if I lose my phone though? Because then, and I lose it in the front garden in the rear event.
Mm-hmm.
Could someone get into my wallet?
So they'll have to do two things to get into your wallet, and this wouldn't be very different than if you had any other mobile app, which is they first have to unlock your phone, and that's actually a very difficult thing to begin with. And that's the beauty of mobile devices that we don't get with desktop, which is why we think mobile are actually the most secure devices you have. Every new mobile device purchased today comes with built-in hardware secure element-based encryption, meaning all the data that you're storing on that device is encrypted by default. And it's not encrypted in such a way that someone can brute force it by trying your password over and over and over again, your PIN or whatnot over and over again. It's encrypted such that a little chip in there, I like to say there's like a little gnome inside of your phone. And when you try to enter someone's password into the phone to unlock it, that gnome looks at it and goes, yeah, that's the right password, I'll let you in. But if you get it wrong, it then says, okay, well, I'm going to give you 2 more tries. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait.
Mhm.
Right? So
Yep,
there's no way
I
to
know
take that data. There's no way to take that data off the disk and try to brute force it over and over and over and over again really, really fast. You can't do that. That chip is the only thing that's going to decrypt the data, and that chip will not let you try a lot of times. And you've heard stories of this where people lose access to their hardware wallet funds because hardware wallets have a similar behavior. If you don't enter your PIN correctly, it will time out and it'll take longer and longer and longer for you to retry, hugely limiting how many tries you can attempt until the whole thing just simply gets locked out. So your phone actually is a very secure device in and of itself. In addition to that, they would then have to break the encryption. Once they get into your phone, they have to break the encryption that Edge puts onto your device. And so that in itself is kind of an additional layer, and people can enable that kind of extra layer of security by disabling certain features in Edge. So Edge has multiple ways to unlock your account. The one way that's always available is your login credentials. A second way is a 4-digit PIN, which in Edge is also severely rate limited because that does require our server. And then last is biometric. All right, so biometric is probably the weakest of the security models, because if someone can biometrically get into your phone for some reason, then they can biometrically get into Edge. So it's something that people could disable if they wanted a hardware wallet, not quite exact caliber, but fairly high level of vault caliber security. Disabling biometric in Edge, you can kind of keep it on your phone, but disabling it in Edge makes it where people would then have to attack your phone first and then attack the security in Edge, because we always encrypt the data on your phone separately from the phone's chip.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Then moving on to, what are the assets that you hold?
Oh, that's going to dovetail nicely into the second video. But right now we support a bunch of assets. I can't rattle every single one of them off. Let's see, most of the top 10, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some small ones, Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, Monero, Litecoin.
You have Monero?
We were the first multi-asset app to support Monero. Before Edge, the only way to get Monero support was to use a Monero-only wallet, and that's it.
Okay.
And now that when we launched Monero, we also supported being able to swap into and out of Monero. So really, Edge was like the only solution at the time we launched where people could hold, send, and receive Monero, and also do it while both holding their keys and then being able to swap to and from various assets. So yeah, we support Monero. I'd mentioned Zcash. We're big on privacy coins, mainly because we're also big on privacy. People don't realize, but Edge, for how it looks like you create this account, the process feels like an account-based process. It's in many ways higher privacy than apps that require you to write down your seed, because we don't have Edge users connect to Edge infrastructure to send and receive funds. There are many apps. I can't rattle all of them, but many apps, what they do is this thing called sending an XPub. Your readers might be new to the concept of an XPub, but what an XPub is it's a single long key, which basically encodes all of the public addresses of your wallets. And what many wallets will do is, upon boot up, they take this XPub and they send it to their server. Now their server knows every public address of every asset that you will ever generate. Not what you just currently have, but any that you might generate ever in the future too, that you're not even using today. And then their server goes and aggregates all your transactions and balances, and very efficiently, they do this for efficiency, is able to send you, here's your balance of all your wallets. So that's fast, it's efficient, but it gives up a huge amount of privacy. Now definitively this one IP address, right, owns this amount of crypto across this many assets, right?
Yeah.
We don't do that in Edge. With Edge, all of your wallets query individual APIs and nodes for just that asset. So your Bitcoin wallet goes and queries a few Bitcoin nodes. Your Litecoin queries a few Litecoin nodes, and only with the addresses that you're currently using, not any of the future ones that you might derive. And Ethereum goes and queries an Ethereum node. So there is no single server that knows all of your balances across all of your assets. And I think that is an important and key thing. And this is not done by most apps.
Wow.
And it's difficult too. It does make it much more inefficient. So people will see an Edge, when you first log in, there's a little circle that goes around every asset because it's syncing. It's basically not syncing, but it's trying to grab your transactions and balance for that wallet, and then for another one, and then for another one. That's because we're doing each wallet one by one, and that's the extra level of privacy that we give. So answer your question, the various assets, we support, most of the top 20
ERC20,
assets,
Binance Smart Chain.
Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, Binance Chain itself.
And you said it can integrate with MetaMask. Can it also do with, and I saw Wallet Connect, you can also do that with Kepler?
We can do Wallet Connect for EVM chains.
Okay.
So you could use Edge as the signing app, the signing wallet for various dApps that allow for Wallet Connect. We don't replace Kepler, which, if I'm not mistaken, is that a Cosmos?
Yeah.
A Cosmos wallet. So I believe we can't do a Cosmos level transaction signing, although we're looking at Cosmos. That is actually the one chain ecosystem we don't support, is the Cosmos ecosystem. We do support Polygon. And once again, not a handful, but a bunch of other chains.
Okay.
So go to our website. You can see all the different assets we support. I can't think of them offhand anymore.
Below. But just on the privacy thing, I should have asked this earlier. For the loans, do I go to do KYC?
So you don't do KYC unless you need to sell to a bank account. So if you take out a loan, pay back a loan, and you're just simply, going from your Bitcoin to stablecoin, no KYC needed. However, and this is a little leak that I don't want to, give people too much of a promise as far as timeline. We are launching a debit card that allows people to sell crypto into the debit card and not provide any KYC. So that we're aiming on linking that to this loan ecosystem where you can literally take out a loan and get into fiat with no personal information.
Wow. Okay.
And tie all of that together. So that's one of the fiat off ramps that we are looking at using. And the great thing about this is now you'd be able to take out a loan and spend in small chunks, little by little, like, I want to top up my debit card, $500, collateralize it with $1,000 of Bitcoin, boom, you have $500 to spend on your card. And then repeat. So you almost like borrow as needed to spend, as opposed to like one big chunk at a time.
I like the sound of that, but of course, no timeline when that'll be done and when it will be available in other countries apart from the US. Okay, Paul, how about this, right? Because there's loads more I want to talk to you about, right? But there is a particular privacy cryptocurrency, which in my opinion is the most private and secure of them all. And I am a first mate on the good ship Pirate Chain. And we'll be talking about Pirate Chain and Edge and what the connection might be in our subsequent video. Is there anything you want to say about in this conversation to finish up?
Just know that privacy coins, we are a big fan of them, and we think that they are a necessary future in cryptocurrency as a whole. They're also difficult. They're very, very hard. They require some of the smartest people in the world to build and some of the most determined, hard-headed engineers to integrate. Yes. And we're exactly that. We're determined, hard-headed, and says that we'll bang our heads at the wall if necessary to get this thing, working inside of our own app. And it took a lot of work. But just know that is generally true. Yeah, exactly.
Don't give it all away. We'll find out more about that in the second video. I'll have all the links to Edge. It's edge.app, and I'll have the links in the description below. And I do invite people to go check it out. It is free for people to use, and secure and convenient. And it has Monero, and it has an even better privacy coin as well. Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.